Let's get to a couple of questions before we get out of here, Rod. Listen, man, this is fire, Rod. I definitely appreciate you coming on here, man, and dropping it like this, man. Man, family, I was talking to this brother, man. We got like I was gonna do like 3 other shows before this show. We was talking about the black Neanderthals. We was talking about the what's that called? The
Cro-Magnon.
The Cro-Magnon, the nuclear winter. Rod was breaking out all types of shit to me on the phone, and then right before we hung up, he brought this up, and I'm like, yo, Rod, we gotta talk about this. So yeah, it is what it is, man. I appreciate this talk. I'm excited. These are like some exciting times we live in, family. Let's get to a couple of questions. Let me see what's going on. Let me hit up the super chat first. These are more okay. Peace gods, Chief Rod. When you say to forget war, learn to love, should we still learn technical awareness in the martial arts? How do we deal with those types of adversaries out of love?
Look, it's better to be a warrior working in the fields than to be a farmer in the fight. You know what I'm saying? You still, those things is self-development tools. You can still use the study and the warfare and the learning of combat as a tool of self-development, which is shifting you into your spiritual developmental mindset. Then the martial arts is also a dance. It's a ballet. Like when you learn Tai Chi, it's a ballet. But the trick is to turn the ballet into Demok, the death touch. You have to know the shifting of the energy. But once you learn the ballet, you know the martial art, you just got to know how to shift it from ballet to combat, right? So warriors learn the war and then they fight for the love. That's what the whole idea of shifting from your war story to your love story comes into play. It's the delirium of the saints with the energy frequency of the love, the admiration. So it don't mean that you shouldn't learn how to defend. It just means that while the frequency is upgrading, you need to be in a higher conscious state, an elevated mental, emotional state to receive the greatest benefit. That's all.
Okay, excellent. Mia sent me says, what percentage of women are part of the 144,000?
The 144,000 is a Masonic biblical code, and it has nothing to do with what's really about to happen. It's 12 times 1,200 that make the 144,000, and all that is the zodiacs, the 12 zodiac seats, and it's telling you that it need a certain amount of them at each zodiac sign on a certain frequency. But it's the code. The code means one angel sent. Thou sent one angel. But they use it as 144,000 as an anagram in a numerical homonym. It's trickery in the highest degree.
Indeed. Rod, they want to know, this sister here says, will a black mama attract a white woman to her son?
If she don't want her son to be part of the racist agenda, she will. If she think that girl gonna love her son unconditionally, that's more important than what she look like.
When you talk about the source codes and women being an antenna, is this something that more so applies to the black women in the world, or is this all women across the spectrum?
Well, every uterus is in mitochondria the recipients of the source code by nation. The first nation, or the ancient ones, are those dark mothers, those black Madonnas. It's 12 daughters of Isis that represent the other ethnic groups of people around the world. And they are different skin tones and hair textures. Their big mamas will receive source codes the same as our big mamas. Our big mamas will just get more data because they have a stronger connection to both creation and the earth. They operating by the addition of the higher carbon density, which is the primordial noon or dark matter of the Great Mother.
Right.
So that's why they get the data, the most data first, because they are more closely tied to first creation.
Right. Definitely. Let's see. Shout out to Afro Goddess. She wants to know what goddess will rule over the golden age.
It will start, but the goddesses don't always choose to rule the entire duration, and they pass it like a baton to one of their sisters, right? So you will look at the hierarchy that they have in Egypt. So you have Aset, that's known as Isis. She is the first at the top of the pyramid of sisters that's heirs to the throne. Second is Sekhmet. It's Het Heru. Right? The male side, Heru is the heir. On the female side, Het Heru is the heir. She's the next in line, and then Sekhmet. Right? Now, Sekhmet can come in ahead of Het Heru if she's coming in wartime as a war priestess. Right? But if she come in peacetime, it'll come through Het Heru, the peace goddess. Right? So they have different functions. But as they, so it's no one, the titles are, those seats are titles for the next in line sequencing of the hierarchy. All of those names you hear out of Egypt, Ra, Osiris, Set, Isis, Het Heru or Hathor, Set, those are titles. And they represented by, most of the time, a totem animal, and some of them are represented by a human-like god form with some type of magical implements from the Heka associated with them as well.
This brother wants to know, are you really losing a fraction of your prana every time you ejaculate, or can go do practice to replenish with no negatives even if you ejaculate?
Look, you have practices for different purposes. The real purpose of learning the semen retention is to be able to bring the waterfalls of heaven down before you lose your erection. In other words, you're supposed to make the female orgasm before you orgasm, or else she won't reach a climax and you complicate the energy, which comes out in your relationship as a bitter ass woman. Right? So you ejaculating, your body gonna replenish that energy. It has to. As long as your mitochondrial is working properly, you will always replenish the energy that you surrender into the world. Right? So the semen retention is a training program to become a more valued sexual partner for your mate. Kama Sutra.
I love how you keep talking about this training program, Rod, and the simulation. It makes total sense. That whole concept resonates a lot with me, man. When you think about our purpose being down here, and when you think about the planes and the simulation, and you act like you flying a plane, but you're really not, that should make total sense, man. Let's do. We're gonna do about 3 more questions. You got time for 3 more questions, Rod?
I'm here.
All right, let's do about 3 more questions. Somebody wants to know, will you be teaching any classes? This is not one of the 3 questions, but will you be teaching any classes, Rod?
When we come back on, when our system come online, because they ain't finna get me caught up in this cult shit. So when our system come back online, yeah, I'm gonna be having rites of passage programs. I'm gonna be training teachers. and doulas. We're gonna be doing we're gonna have a big, like a university of holistic medicine, inviting doctors from around the world to come and teach what they know. We're gonna be sending doulas around the world to go work with other doulas in order to learn the ancient birthing practices and upgrade them and implement them into modern healthcare. We're going to be training children to use their psychic abilities at an earlier age so that they can be a bigger powerhouse for the future. So all this stuff is going to be part of the programs when our system come online. But as long as these people is in power, I ain't finna put my head out there like that. I teach online. They won't never call me a cult leader and come running up in this motherfucker with the SWAT team.
Crazy.
They keep calling me Rod the Madman. As long as they don't call me a cult leader, I'm cool.
Oh man. Let's see. Okay, Rod. Felicia wants to know, do you have to be in the sunlight to get the codes? Weather has been cloudy in California, Rod.
Look, them codes coming in.
Right.
The sun codes already been coming in. They've been coming in on solar flares and wind and solar storms for the last year and a half. And people been going through different roller coasters of ascension symptoms that they thinking they've been sick. They weren't sick, they was getting upgraded. Yeah. And when the sickness go away, you feel better than you did before you were sick. All of this is part of it. Some people might choose to be breatharians after this. Some people might not. Right? But the whole thing is to find the true balance of Earth between the men, the women, and the universe. The alignment becomes critical when you download. The source code can penetrate everything that you see. The solar rays, they go straight to the core of the Earth and filter through the people going in and coming out, because the Earth is the sun is asking the Earth a question about the people. So those are your incoming solar flares and solar storms. And when the Earth answers, it sends a frequency back through the people that delivers the answer back to the center of the solar system. Then when the source codes come in, they come in directly from prime source center of the galaxy, right? This is where the greatest draw is to the central point in our little part of creation called the Milky Way. Only thing I can't figure out is who took the fucking picture of the Milky Way. I can't figure that shit out. We in the Milky Way. That's like trying to take a picture of the outside of your house from being inside. How the hell they do that? I ain't figured it out yet.
So, Rod, so the people and me I could understand this better. Right. So we got source code, that's from the prime creator, Big Mama, and we got sun codes. If we're getting the source code, that's a direct communication. What relationship does the sun code have to the source code? You know, like, is Big Mama, is that her brother? Is that her nephew? Is that her cousin? Like, who would sun be?
So to use it in the same way that the Masons use it, Fiat Lux, let there be light, is the sun. That's the widow's son. The source, that's Big Mama. That's the widow. They work together. Nothing can move in the changing of the guard until the widow find her son, or vice versa. Right? That's when the source codes begin to talk to the solar rays, and we play it out in the flesh, right? And it happens in the stars, as above, so below. We just walking in the pattern that we reading the energy from the stars.
Right.
All the people of the Earth make up the total number of stars you see in the sky.
Right.
Right. So at least the ones that's in visual sight. The ones that's going to be born later, you probably can't even see their star yet.
Mm.
Right? So they'll run those codes. Those are star codes.
Mm.
Right? And the Milky Way galaxy is a accumulation of stardust that formed into what we see in front of us.
Mm. Interesting.
Right?
Let's get to another question, y'all. Let's get to another question. I'm gonna while Rod is answering this next question, I'm gonna post that video that Rod sent me. I got the full video. I'm gonna post it in the chat for y'all. I seen somebody asked about it. Somebody said, what about this polar vortex coming next week? What's that about, Rod? You heard about that?
I haven't looked into it yet.
Okay.
But I think that's that cold front. They warning about that freezing cold front. The Earth is terraforming right now.
Yeah.
It's literally in real time terraforming. You could see grass in Mecca in the desert. It's all green pastures, right? Then in certain places that was barren, there's water springs sprouting up. And certain places that was lush greenery getting mudslides. The earth is changing. And a lot of the women can feel it.
Yeah, you know how you talk about I'm trying to find this link for the people. You know how you talk about you was talking about Arizona. Yeah, it's funny. As soon as I'm about to talk about Iceland, this person that's how this synchronicity. What the hell is the deal? You talk about Arizona being where the ancient Egyptians was and shit like that. What's up with Iceland, man? I got this interconnection to Iceland. What was Iceland in antiquity, man? I fucks with Iceland. I want to go there, man. Any info about Iceland?
You need to get Ivan Van Sertima African presence in early America. Because he talk about the pygmy people that used to live in the underground in Iceland and Greenland.
Okay.
Right. They're not there no more.
Right. You know, I was talking to Billy the other day about a couple of weeks ago. We did a show. And the solar flares that the sun erupts. What is when a volcano explodes, erupts? What can you attribute that to? Is something going on in the inner earth or the inner sun that's causing?
You ever had a pimple before?
Yeah.
That's your volcano on your face.
Mm-hmm.
The volcano is getting rid of, it's a pressure release valve. They all over the planet. Right. If you got a magma layer under the plates and the magma layer is cooking.
Right.
And is melting the plates. Right. And so it builds up pressure over time. And it breaks out in a sore, a pimple. Right. And the more pressure, when it break out, the greater the eruption. You've seen people with pimples that ooze.
Right.
Yeah, that's a volcano just running over. Comparative analysis will always help you understand a little bit better.
Yeah, wow. Family, I just posted the link. You check out this video, you'll be able to estimate the exact time of this window, this 6-hour window that's going down on the 15th. Y'all can do all the homework on yourselves, but I just gave y'all all the keys right there. So check that out. And just for more information on this alignment that Rod is talking about that's happening, once again, shout out to Rod for sending me that video. But definitely check out that that video. We're gonna take one more question. What time is it? Then we're gonna get out of here. Let's see. All right, this brother wants to know. I've seen this question a couple of times. Should we still pursue worldly goals at this time, such as fitness, building wealth, getting certifications, etc.?
Any self-improvement is encouraged. Anything you can learn it. Right? The only thing that I would say is don't let nobody trick you into signing no paperwork. It's paper chain.
Right.
The rest of it, go get your knowledge. Go get, physical fitness is part of overall healthcare or self-care. The better physically fit you are, the less likely you are to have a critical ailment.
Indeed. All right. Listen, with that being said, and I want to share the brothers, we about to get out of here. Let me share the brothers Cash App one more time before I get out of here. Because I seen somebody else had mentioned it, but I didn't want to interrupt the show. Sick. Oh shit. Hold up, y'all. $SIKAPE. Once again, for those who asked a little while ago for the brothers Cash App, if y'all would like to show the brother gratitude, he talked about gratitude. His Cash App is $ capital SIK capital APE. All right, family. I appreciate it. We got almost 4,000 people in the chat. I appreciate everybody for coming out. What a show, y'all. What a show. Y'all got the link in the chat. Watch this over if y'all need to. Sisters, Rod told y'all sisters what y'all need to be doing out there. You know what I'm saying? Go to the spa if you can. You know, brothers, y'all know what y'all got to do. We got our assignment today, y'all. We got our assignment. Rod, before we get out of here, how can they contact you? You on Instagram? Where you at, Rod?
It's easier to find me on Instagram, but my Facebook, I'll be there too. Rod Hayes on Facebook. My profile picture change often. And it's the SikApe on Instagram. The same as my Cash App with THE in front of it.
Indeed. All right. With that being said, I want to thank everybody. Rod, thank you once again, my brother, for coming through. A great conversation with you the other day. Great conversation tonight, as always, my brother. Look forward to seeing you again soon, my brother. And enjoy the 15th, my brother. Enjoy that window. Tap in, my brother.
I just want to know what's gonna happen. Because I don't know what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
You know, indeed. And what the rollout better.
Much better. Now, what you were saying, my brother?
So it take us back to the point of origin of when we shifted from spirituality to religion.
Right.
You got to look at everything first and foremost as signatures of energy. Right. And the way that you can explain it from a spiritual perspective for a person to understand it in 3D is the force and power that governs a frequency. You give it a name, right? Making it a person, place, or thing now. The 3D person can now have a frame of reference for a spiritual phenomenon.
Okay.
Right? In truth, don't nobody own nothing. If you can't take it with you when you leave, you don't own it. You just borrow it. Right. So this is why we got into inheritance. Because now whatever you work for, you can leave your children with the fruits of your labor. Right. So now we have to explain to regular people who don't know quantum physics, don't know epigenetics, and they don't know astrophysics. How do you explain it to them where they can understand how these energies govern on that frequency? So when you make it into a person, place, or noun, now you give it a referenceable format.
Gotcha.
So now you got a name and a description to go with the name of how the energy worked. And this is why when we used to name our children, it was based on something in their character or something that we wanted to instill in their character. It's your name is the most spoken mantra for you out of anything you've ever heard. You can never unless you change your name, you can never not have that as your number one mantra, your name. And this is why your spiritual self attach identity in a 3-dimensional format. Right. Now you come back on your genetics, when your frequency realign with the child that's being born. But you have to embody the energy that was your energy, original self, right? Mm-hmm. So now you go back to what Elijah Muhammad said. He said the black man is the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, and God of the universe. The collective consciousness cannot see a universe if you don't give them a descriptive analysis of what a universe is. Mm-hmm. So the glory of the bliss of being able to observe it by frequency without the name attached is a different level of connection with the universe. Okay. So when we go back in the historical records and you see that the Anunnaki is claiming that they own Earth. Mm-hmm. And they claim that before they came, it was some people here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can't own something that you're not or organic to. Mm-hmm. But you can stake a claim. But if you stake a claim in the presence of warriors, you just ignited a war. Mm-hmm. Right? So now in military terms, you win by conquest. Mm-hmm. Right? The conquest is the end result of warfare. Warfare is raging political violence used to further a political agenda. Karl von Clausewitz on war. Mm-hmm. Okay, so understanding that the war is to be dealing with the politics, meaning the body of people that you governing over. So when you say somebody own it, to own it means that you have to tend to it, do the maintenance on it, the caretakers of it. Mm. You are responsible for the health and the well-being of that which you claim to own. Mm. It doesn't mean that somebody won't come into your house and contest your position and say, you living in my house. Mm-hmm. It's how are you capable of defending your position that determines if you can stay in that house or if you're going to lose it to an interloper. Mm-hmm. Right? So the ownership that they claiming is only for mineral rights. Mm-hmm. Right? So when you go back in your Bible, your Quran is always about the gold. They going into foreign lands and they saying the gold is good in that land. And then we finna go move over there. Right? These are human interpretations of celestial phenomena. You have to read it first as an energy signature based on the description of the energy before you can accept it as an actual being. Right. They not here right now. So anything that you're hearing that existed in the past is hearsay, whether it's written or spoken. Mm-hmm. But what takes place in the present that you are witnessing to is no longer hearsay, it's direct message from direct source. Mm-hmm. Right? So we listen to the historical descriptions and it's how we taught to interpret them. We taught to interpret them because when interpreted in a certain way, it arrests your development and they put you on autopilot to keep arresting your development. The God Amun is the unknown God. When you go back to the war of the priests, it was the Amun priests, the ones who felt that the divinity in man should be unseen to the regular or what they call profane. Mm-hmm. The I-10 priests said, no. We are the light of the world. And we gonna let our light shine as a beacon of possibility for the inspiration of our fellow man. And then from there, they incited the priest wars. And this is still tracing the same energy signature back as to the brother versus brother Anunnaki war, where Enki versus Enlil. In Egypt, it's Set versus Osiris, right? Then the son always comes back to redeem the father from the misgivings of the ungrateful who usurped the throne. And then it becomes clear that this is how royal families conduct business in the front of everybody, and we not paying attention to see who's conducting business along these signatures of energy.
Rod, let me ask you this. In terms of we talk about the Anunnaki, there's a story we're talking about Earth. There's a story that we are all familiar with that we were taught when we were young, and a biblical story, and that's the story of the Garden of Eden. What took place? What really took place? I hear echo, Rod. Is that on your end, Rod? I hear echo now.
Is it?
I can't hear you.
Is it me or is it you?
No, I can't hear you that good now, and I'm hearing my echo. Did you do something different with the phone? The snake, the apple.
It's a Babylonian breeding program. It's the instructions to create a worker species using the root stock of the species that's already here. So they trying to use genetic manipulation to dumb them down and make them controllable. This is what they call inserting the worship gene, because they were supposed to use genetics to instill in the people the desire to honor them as their superiors. And instead of forcing them to do it in the open, they would do it by inserting the worship gene in the genetics. All this is what was going on in what they call the garden. It was part of a genetic manipulation of the DNA of the species of the planet.
Right. Wow. And so when you say this breeding program, what race was a part of this breeding program? And was this? Yeah.
When you look back into the ancient Vedic records and you match that up with the Sumerian records and the legends of the indigenous people of the Great Atlant, you can piece together that it was a whole lot of different, like a conglomerate of different beings who discovered a different species on Earth.
Right.
At different times, and they all became instrumental in manipulating the species, and they justify it by saying it's to raise our consciousness so that we can achieve some stuff that they call godhood.
Right.
But the God state of the Earth being is to be in one with the frequency of the planet Earth. So this is why we say bring heaven back to Earth, because before usurpation, Earth was heaven to the people of Earth. Right? So somebody had to come from somewhere else to warn us about a hell while they give us hell in the place that we once seen as heaven. It's a good misdirection.
Right.
An illusionist trick. But once you see how the trick is played, your brain won't accept it as a trick no more. It'll reject it. And that's why I keep trying to explain in as simple as possible all of these things that they use to deceive us and how it work. Because when you understand how it work, your brain gonna naturally use that in your natural self-defense of your psyche and your spiritual self. Right? So your consciousness is still earthborn, but they've manipulated the genetic stock by incorporating different extraterrestrial DNA into the human stock, which they call the missing links in the evolutionary theory. Right? Because you're looking at the whole species just pop up and be a new species for no reason. That's manipulation. That's science. And they've also found a scar tissue where that they can identify parts of the DNA that's been replaced. You know, and the thing about it is the RNA DNA replication process is a duplicate. So you could trace back genetically using the rate of genetic divergence to see how long ago was this done.
Right.
You know, all these scientists is doing this stuff. I'm just telling y'all what they doing.
Right.
What they looking at, because we don't know. Nobody's coming back to the hood saying, hey, yo, the scientists in the laboratory trying to figure out how to downgrade your DNA and upgrade theirs. And then this is how it works. A lot of people have the theory, but they don't have the operational format by which the thing is being applied. Right. So I come in, I say, this is what they doing. This is how it works. You know, and all of that genetic manipulation is part of the tools of oppression. It's an act of war on a free will society.
You know, I remember years ago, like years ago, Alex Jones had this DVD. I think it was Alex Jones. He had this DVD called The Prison Planet. And a lot of people who are into this consciousness, they consider this planet like the jail of the cosmos. This is a prison planet. But I noticed if we compare it to prison, I noticed the similarities between the language that we use for prison and our and how we, you know, in our body. So we got the prison, then we got the prism, light prism. We got cells, You in a jail cell, we got cells. You got they charge you with battery, we could charge our battery. You know, we're like a battery and we could charge our battery. So the language is very similar. Talk to me about why do you think they decided to use the language when it comes with the prison system, and it sort of ties into metaphysically who we might be, Rob? What's the deal with that?
So most of the naming of the prison system is a understanding of how the sociology is applied in the general public. Right? If they can use the science and lure you like a carrot on a stick by using terms interchangeably. This is what they call the curse of the English language. You know, and the secret societies rely on the interpretation and misinterpretation of synonyms and homonyms, right? With acronyms, all these things are code talk training methods where you can see what they really saying. It teaches you how to read their symbolism. Once you read their symbolism, then you can take control of the great egregore by exposing how it worked to the general public. Because once you know how it worked, you are more control than you were before you didn't know anything about it.
You know, you talked about Earth once being like heaven, and when certain entities took over Earth, it became, and you know, they flipped it and it became something else completely. You know, we look to study ancient Kemet for answers about who we are, and if you study ancient Kemet, Rod, a lot of the teachers talk about avoiding reincarnation on this planet. Do you think, just to use a modern day example, sometimes we could study people on certain lands and their teachings might reflect that they was colonized by another group. So do you think, you know, like I may teach about Jesus, right? But that is a result of the Nicene Council, the Crusades and all that other stuff. Do you think what we're reading, the hieroglyphs that's on the wall in Kemet, is not what it is, what it appears to be. That is a result of colonization. That is a result of them being mistaught about who they were. So even they got the shit wrong.
You talking about the hieroglyphics?
Yeah. Them saying avoiding coming back to this planet, but you saying this planet used to be heaven. Nobody's saying that that's on the hieroglyphics. All they're saying is that the goal is not to incarnate back to this realm. So do they got the shit wrong on the hieroglyphics as a result of colonization or whatever?
It's contextual. What you referring to is contextual. They give, it's a lot of stories in hieroglyphics. It's not just one. But collectively, we call it the holy drama. The holy drama is describing celestial events using person, places, or things in pictographic form. Right. The warning of the don't reincarnate was speaking about during the chapter of misery.
During that chapter. Okay.
If you reincarnate, you have to be strong enough to endure the misery. So they talking about a whole system of moving energy by controlling the collective. That's sociology.
Right.
But they don't use it as sociology. It's written that to the scientists is Egyptology. It's just a story, a legend from ancient Egypt. It's a whole physics formula for the understanding of how to move people into their proper positions as heirs. All that stuff is in there.
Right.
You know, the Heru is the heir to his father's seat. But Heru can't get his father's seat unless he first get the blessing from his mother. That's why they say queens make kings. And all of these things is they part of our ancient lore and legend, so that when we go to the chapter of misery, where we have total amnesia as to who we are, we don't believe reincarnation is real. We in denial, not denial. Play on words, right? Two banks, a factual bank and a fictional bank. Same way it play out in the banking system. Fiat versus currency.
Right.
The real currency, it depends on your royal rank. They say gold is the money of kings. Silver is the money of princes. Right? So they telling you something about who uses what for financial dispensation. Right? The only reason why we need to pay for anything is because it's the barter and trade system reduced to something the value of this amount of labor, because the labor wasn't being quantified. So then the substance of the precious metal equal in value a certain output of labor. And you use that as a medium of exchange for the ones who produce the substance, instead of use their labor for currency. Right? It's energy. It's transferring the energy.
Rod, what's a more ancient name for Earth? Tiamat or Ki? I hear some of y'all say Tiamat. I heard Bobby Hemmett refer to Earth as Tiamat. I heard some people refer to Earth as Ki. What's the most ancient name? Gaia. I hear the name Gaia. What's the most ancient name for Earth, Rod?
A lot of those names are contemporary, and they come from the language differences of different groups of people. It's not so much the name, it's the meaning of the name. Because when you go through so many languages as we have, we're not using none of the original tongues of the first people. So even if we seen the word, we wouldn't even know how they really pronounced it. Right? Because the language evolves over time. And this is why you keep people studied on what they call dead languages, And that's why all legalese is founded in Latin, a dead language.
Right, right, right.
Right. So they use that as a foundational tool because of the divergence, the natural divergence in the way that people speak a particular language anywhere on the planet. Asians in Asia speaking English doesn't sound like an Asian that was raised in an English speaking country speaking English.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Cultural influence in it alters how you hear sound.
Mm-hmm.
The people in the South have a different way of expressing the same thing as the people in the North, but they use they words in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and once you get exposed to the divergence of the language, then you can see where it all traced back. But to try to come back with the original name of the planet, I don't think we have access to the word at this point in our progression.
You know, I remember one time in an old lecture from Bobby Hemmett, speaking of Tiamat and things like those type of names. And when we talk about language and ancient names, I remember Bobby Hemmett saying that a lot of, the African American, what we call African Americans, a lot of people, when we named our children certain names throughout the last 2-3 decades, people like, "Ooh, that name ghetto as hell, LaQuisha, Denisha, and Tia Titi, or whatever." But you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bobby Hemmett
Mm-hmm.
said those names that we're drawing from a genetic memory bank, but those names was the names of ancient goddesses and ancient gods. So what we looked at as something ghetto, these ghetto names, LaQuisha, and all these names that we're seeing, Bobby Hemmett said, no, we're drawn from something genetically, and that those were the names of ancient gods. What's your thoughts on that, Rod?
Me and Typecat was talking about 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and we was talking about how the people that learn the tribal dance using the 1-2 step method,
Mm.
and then the Crips sea walking, Bloods be walking, Detroit jitting, New Orleans second line march, right? That's coming from their soul.
Mm.
It's their genetic memory being activated.
Mm.
When I tell the sisters about the goddess glow up, it's because I'm looking at something that's being expressed that's in our hieroglyphic record in our ancestry. And I know what I'm looking at, so I have to give you the reference. Right? So it always starts with you need a point of reference to see where your genetic self is being expressed in a modern culture.
Deep.
Right? And you look back to the historical record, you don't look back for facts. You look back for clues to remember how you supposed to behave from your genetic self from back then to now to find yourself in the present.
Right.
Right? And that's what Noble Drew Ali called the exhuming of a nation. He said, I gave you everything you need to save a nation. Now use it to save yourself.
Right.
Right? It's the same principles of moving the energy that apply. Once you know who you are, you know that there's something that your ancestors left you to do. The work that you have to do is instrumental in proving who you are by works and deeds where you ain't got to tell a person your name.
Right.
They gonna find out the name by the observation of the works and the deeds. And this is why they say you could tell the tree by the fruit it bear.
Right. What was Earth one of the first planets that came when the cosmos, the Big Bang, whatever you want to call it, when I guess when it was just darkness and the cosmos was created? Was Earth one of the first planets created?
there's galaxies upon galaxies that's like trillions of years older than what we call the Milky Way.
Okay.
We pretty much the new kids on the block.
Ooh.
We was nestled off in the far side of the universe that was only just now becoming known to the ones that was older. That's why Thoth called them our older brothers or elder brothers.
Who's the older brothers? Who Thoth called that? Who?
Thoth, he's talking about those other galaxies that preceded this one.
The Milky Way. Okay.
Right. But when remember, you have to put it in the term a person, place, a thing for the 3D person to understand the celestial phenomenon.
Right. Right.
So you call those ones that preceded us elder brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he used brothers on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because the Pleiades is called the seven sisters and they trillions of years older than Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they have a heavy influence on the frequencies that come to the Earth.
Mm.
So we name the stars a name.
Mm-hmm.
That's a noun.
Mm-hmm.
And then we describe the energy of that star by telling you the character traits of the person with the name that is the noun. Mm. And now you have a way in 3 dimensions looking at the human movement to read the stars without ever looking up. Because once you get accustomed to what energies you're reading, they stick out in everything. It's like reading the streamers on the Matrix at that point.
Wow. Wow. You know, Rod, you know, they say everybody has a spirit guide. Does everybody have, you know, you see all the stars in the sky, just the same way they say everybody has a spirit guide. Does everybody has a star that follows them? Like they could look up anywhere on the planet and that star is following them. Is that I heard somebody say that before. Is that true?
It's that's through celestial energy, because we all accumulated stardust.
Mm-hmm.
The stardust that you most compose has the strongest draw on your energy signature.
Right, right, okay.
Right. So it's by the law of volume. If you have enough of the volume, you quantumly attach to that star. Woo. And that system. And this is why you get zodiac types with different character traits. And then you got 2 people in the same zodiac sign that don't act nothing alike because they embodying different stellar energies under that's from that zodiac region.
Right.
But they all have a different energy, and that's why they come in at a different time.
Right, right, right. Wow.
Yeah. So this is how the ancestors try to reduce high spirit science for regular people to be able to assimilate it using a day-to-day activity as the template. They'll begin to naturally see it. It'll guide them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When they say everybody got a spirit guide, because the process that we going through is called the purification of the ego. Mm-hmm. And the exhuming of the self. Mm-hmm. The higher self is the one that's trying to conquer the ego, but he can't make the ego let him in. He can only sit there and wait until the ego acknowledges presence. Mm-hmm. Every time the ego say I'm in, that means step back, I don't need you right now. telling the inner God to remain unseen to the rest of the world.
When we say amen, you saying?
Yeah.
Shit.
That's the self-imposed conjure that we all been putting on ourselves in the name of religion.
Amen Ra, that's the same as Marduk. Same person, same energy?
Yep. Marduk, it's 2 Marduks. One is Enlil's son, one is Enki's son. Enlil's son was the referee and he didn't want to be here, so he became belligerent and abusive as a governor, ruler.
Right.
And so that's when you hear about in the book of Enoch when they say he was chained in Antarctica.
Mm.
And then they describe the topography that's under the ice.
Rod, who would Loki be associated with if we're using
Loki?
Yeah.
Loki is another name for Horus from a different culture.
From a different culture.
Mm-hmm. That's why he's an adopted son of the Ice Princess, adopted by Thor and father. Right? That means he raised by somebody that's not his actual father, but somebody who made a peace treaty with his mama. Because that's how Zeus ended up marrying the Ice Princess as a peace treaty in the lore.
Right.
Between the ice giants and the Olympians. Right? Now, the same story is an overlay for the daughter known as Skada, the air princess to the north. We know it as the story of Elsa. Frozen. Right? It's a nice fairy tale to tell the children. But it's the same story as the Ice Princess. The Ice Princess is Isis. Because her ice she's Isis, the Dame of the North.
Right.
The Princess of Notre Dame. Right? The young maiden, LaDonna, whose mother is Madonna, the Black Madonna, the Great Mother. So now they're giving you a map of how to locate the heirs if you the family redeemer, using the ancient lore and legends as the template. And that tells you how to capture certain energy. And it's all going back to a combination of technology and conjure used in tandem in order to be able to put us through our paces so that we can properly be punished for our sins, or by our sins, I should say.
Right. Rod, what's your we've talked a lot. We've done a lot of shows on the Anunnaki. There's so much talk on the Anunnaki on the internet right now. I mean, so much talk. I think you contributed greatly to that, and Billy Carr. I would say you and Billy Carson contributed greatly to all the talk on the Anunnaki within a lot. There were so many people before Dr. York. A lot of people talked about, but I'm just saying within the last years, I think y'all two talked a lot, brought a lot of attention to this subject on YouTube and on the internet. One thing I don't hear people talking about, and I had a show with a sister early this year, Flabrun. I don't know if you ever heard of the sister Flabrun. We did a show
Floorburn, yeah.
Yeah, Floorburn. Yeah, we did a show on the Lyrians, the cat-like people.
Yeah.
And so from what I understand, the Lyrians crossbred with the Syrians, and they're the parents of the Anunnaki. Am I correct? Is that how?
Okay, so she's taking you back before they came here. And that's also the story of the peace treaty that ended the war between the Syrians, which was reptilians, and the Lyrans, which was the cat people. In Egypt, we call it the House of Bast, the House of Sobek.
Bast being the cat-like people.
Yeah. It's also Bast is under the house of Sekhmet, the goddess lion. All of these is telling you the same story, and they taking like pieces of it. But remember, you giving a noun to a celestial phenomenon so that regular people can grasp the concept of how it's played out as a play between people as opposed to opposing energies.
But Rod, we are celestial phenomenons and nouns, so it can be like that somewhere else. Celestial, like we're cosmic dust, but I'm a noun as well. I mean, according to we're a person, place, or a thing, but we're also celestial phenomenon. So you don't think it's like that in other parts of the universe as well?
Well, this is University Earth, where the bad kids turned it into a prison. So you come in here to develop your soul consciousness or to balance your energies. You have to learn how to find balance. And the balance that you embody begins to come out in your works. And this is the degrees in Freemasonry, learning the balance. It says the spheres in Kabbalah, right? From Malkuth to Kether. Gotcha. What's over Kether? Ein Sof. Right? What's Ein Sof? Divine wisdom. Sophia.
Right.
Mother's wit. The wisdom of the mother. So this is the same, it's the same energy description, and you have to figure out how to teach regular people using these tools. So we are celestial beings training in a simulator of three-dimensional fixed position reality. And since we here, we have to learn how to navigate this simulator in order to go on and govern higher energies more efficiently, because we've stabilized ourselves by finding the eternal balance. So you use yourself to explain the universe. Just the universe is using itself to explain to you who you are. You just don't want to hear it because the universe don't speak in the language of humans. It speaks in frequency.
Right.
And that caused you to have to pay attention. And you can't do that in the fast food culture because you got to hurry up and get there real fast. Right? Move, move, move. No regard for process. But the process of bringing people to an awareness has no time stamp on it. It take how long it take, because everybody don't develop at the same speed. But this is the graduation. So everybody that make it to this point, right, sentient and aware, move on to the next level of the game, which is the payout. We won, they lost.
Which story or celestial group you think best resonates, best describes who we are? Like who do we have genetic ties with the most when we hear about the Lyrians, the Anunnaki, the Syrians? Because I just heard about the Lyrians, and now I'm hearing about all the stuff about the Lyrians, and I'm like, damn, they was like the Guardians of the Galaxy, but people don't really talk about them like that. So which group do you
got to look? You can't. The human is a hodgepodge of different celestials trickled down into the human being.
Right.
This is why we being a composite of all of them makes us their offspring superior to any one of them. This is what they've been trying to keep. That's the great secret. Because they all gave a little bit, they gave us all enough to overcome.
Shit, right. Damn. That was deep. Since we got a wow.
Look, Fairkind did a whole speech on it called "We Are the Overcomers," explaining to you how we supposed to overcome the obstacle, face the struggle. Right. And then once you realize what you're here for, you start giggling to yourself because you believed all of the false narratives that all of the liars lied to you about, and you knew they was lying the whole time they was lying, but you chose to trust them anyway.
Right.
in the name of Jesus.
Mm. Yeah, some deep shit. Some deep shit. Rod,
Worst thing you could tell somebody is the truth.
do you I'm curious, do you practice grounding? I'm hearing about the importance of grounding with earth. Is that something you practice? That's probably up there with one of the most beneficial things we could do, huh?
Look, the earth communicates with us whether we accept it or not. And when we decay, when we go over to the other side, the physical body going to turn back into earth.
Right.
So the process of grounding, the earth energy is more stable than the lone human.
Mm-hmm.
In order to assist you in the stabilization of your own energy, by grounding, you get the assistance of the coach of the earth in stable energy. It's the same with trees.
I was just about to ask you, Rod. I just wrote down. I just wrote down trees just now before you said trees. Since you said we go back to the earth when we die, when we so-called die, are trees? Would you consider trees to be the souls of old humans that used to be on Earth? If when I'm looking at a tree, I'm looking at a dude that existed 10,000 years ago?
I wouldn't say a particular guy. They on a frequency. All trees are on the frequency that defines what a tree is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So they can only come back on that compatible frequency.
Okay.
So it's the same with the humans. The human is the exception to the rule because through totem magic, we can communicate with the spirit of all of the lesser realms. They call them elemental spirits, but they the spirits that governs the elements that make the earth up. Mm-hmm. And that's the governing energy. And once you understand how the energy work, you can use it because you are no longer ignorant to the energy. The fact that you know how to use it allows you access to using it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, man. This is what I needed tonight. This talk, Rod. This is what I need. Yeah, this is what I need. I know the people excited. We got about 3,500 people in the chat. It's a packed house tonight. I'm gonna get to some Q&A right now. I'm watching my son tonight by myself, so I can't be on here too long. But I want to put the brother before we get to Q&A. I see somebody asked about donating to Rod early. I want to put the brother's Cash App up on the screen right now so y'all can show the brother love. Hold up, y'all. It's SikApe. All right, family. We're gonna get to some Q&A real quick. Make sure you show the brother Rod some love for this. Wow, I mean, what a talk! What a talk tonight. The brother's Cash App. You can show love via Cash App. It's $SikApe. That's SIKAPE. Make sure y'all show that brother some love, man, for this information. Give me some questions in the chat. We're gonna get to a few questions before we get. Shout out to everybody. I know a lot of people was excited about the show tonight, so thanks to everybody for tuning in. Make sure y'all share this. This is an important one. Let me see what y'all talking about in the chat.
While you doing that, brother Rich?
Yeah.
Look, the old ladies be calling me. They be like, "Yeah, I love when you be on Brother Rich show."
Oh man. Shout out to all the elders. Shout out to the elders.
They love for me and you to talk for some reason.
Yeah. It's it's a good vibe. It's authentic, good vibe. It's not a robotic vibe. It's not robotic. It's a real authentic vibe. Soul talk. We should call this soul talk. Let me get to a super chat question. Before I make sure you donate. Rod Hayes, Cash App, SikApe, $SikApe, y'all. Let's get to this question right here, super chat. Is it possible that since we sit in the sand constellation, we are using Jupiter's archetypal energies?
That is a bomb question based on what we already talked about. And then you asked me about the Garden of Eden. In the Jewish lore, there's a character known as Lilith, who was supposed to be the first consort of Adam, but because Adam couldn't boss her around, they kicked her out the garden. Okay, now, she is supposed to be the most powerful of the beings created, right? You go to Ragnarok at the beginning, you remember that Thor threw the hammer at his sister, his elder sister. She catch it, and then she crushed it.
Right.
You already got to be worthy to pick Mjolnir up. She didn't just pick it up; she crushed it with her bare hand. In the Ragnarok, they called her name Helen. Remember, Helen was the matriarchal founder of Greece, who was usurped by the patriarchy of Rome and replaced. They call that beheading the god in the old text. So by switching her into a man, they switched gender roles to patriarchy. So the Jupiter energy is the energy of the gift givers, right? The bounty. But the Saturnian energies, what made me made this question take me to the Saturnian energies is because before this moon was here, we was governed by the moon of Saturn known as Lilith. And that's the time when Earth was known as Tiamat, and our orbit was in a different location closer to Jupiter than it is to Mars. Right? So all these energy frequencies is at work, and then you have this lunar energy that's the newest energy in the whole system. Right? So to give y'all some insight of what I'm talking about, it's a book called Our Mysterious Spaceship Moon. And then they got a part 2 to it. It's not a novel. It's a scientific research. It talk about a time before the moon. You can go on YouTube and look up, just type in time before the moon, and they gonna tell you how long the moon been there. Right? And then cross-reference that with the Dark Knight satellite. And then you'll see when you read the Vermonter's Wars, all of it will start to line up.
Indeed.
So it's those energies that they putting in the terms to explain to you the process of creation and where you at in the process based on the energies at work. So all of these energies is being used. Jupiter, Saturn, Lilith, moon. When the women learned how to control the lunar moon, that's when they was able to use the 3 days between the last moon and the first moon and tap into the Lilith energy. That's what you call the energy of the Dark Mother.
Shout out to Lance. Lance, did you get that book? I sent you a book, the Panics book. Let me know if you got that book, Lance. I sent it to you probably last week. Let me know if you got that book. Lance said, I think that's the same moon that was on the movie Avatar, the moon around Saturn.
I think he's right. It's because Avatar is also telling you about your ability to tap into the 4 elements. The only way you can be the Avatar is you have to master all 4 elements so that you can tap into the 5th, ether.
Indeed.
Once you tapped into the ether, you tapped into pure spirit. Orgon.
All right, let's get to another question. These are some the chat. Y'all got some good comments, good questions. I'm loving the energy in the room tonight. Loving the vibe. Loving the vibe. Rod Hayes is back. All right. Let's get to super chat. For anyone who feels lost or without a purpose, Rod, is there any ways they can get in touch with their ancestors for that assistance?
Tapping into your ancestors, you first have to understand how they're going to talk to you. So you have to develop your perception so that you'll know how your ancestors are going to communicate, and they'll help you get through the most difficult times once you tap in. And most people, they want to tap into the ancestors, but religion got them scared to make an ancestral altar, which ain't nothing but a what you call a family photo array on the wall of ancestors, your grandfather, your great grandfather, like that. That's an ancestral altar as well, but most of us don't know it.
Deep. Let's get to the next question. Naeem Shabazz wants to know, do we have a choice what we come back as? Do we have a choice, Rod?
Normally we have a choice, but we normally come back as the highest form of conscious sentient being on the planet because we able to operate and tap into all of the lower frequencies that will once we learn the process. So it would make sense to come back as something less when you can communicate and experience it without becoming it. So we choose to come back as humans, but you do have some that choose to come back as other species.
Let's get to the next question. What's the symbolism to the horses running in blood in London? I just heard about that today.
Go to Revelations, and it said, and the blood would be up into the horse's bridle. It's telling you a time. The white horse is the conqueror.
Right.
The black horse carries justice, the scales to measure out the justice at the end. The pale horse carries death in its weight, and the red horse wages war. All of these is different social roles of political control measures. And they use those things among the secret societies to openly tell you what they doing in your face, behind your back. They ain't hiding it. You just don't know what it means. It's the drowning, it's the blood, the horse returning from battle with the blood. He waded through the blood up to the horse's bridle. Look up what a horse's bridle is and look at where the blood is located on the horse, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Indeed. All right, we're going to do two more questions. Brother Rich got to get out of here. We're going to do two more questions. Can you share thoughts on Pokemon and relevance to universe and or human? Pokemon.
The Pokemons is an exaggeration of how to use certain energies. You can use the card as the description of the energy that you're trying to use. Just remember, it won't be as pronounced as it is in the anime because the anime is the extreme exaggeration to draw your attention to the subtle energy.
Indeed. All right. Okay, somebody says, if the firmament can't be penetrated, explain how the telescopes are traveling through space.
I never said the firmament can't be penetrated.
That's a popular opinion on it.
Look,
the flat earthers.
It's people that's coming here and been coming and going. So if the firmament can't be, the human technology is probably blocked. Because somebody's traveling in and out of this atmosphere as we speak.
Indeed. All right, let's get to this last super chat. I seen Birdie. I just seen you say check the super chat. I missed your question, Birdie. This is the last question. Can you explain the difference between seeing orange versus black Sentinel drones? I sent him a vid on IG seeing a black one.
The color of the drones tell you what their purpose is. Normally, if they paint it black, the blacked out is the stealth mode. It's the military normally, or somebody that's using military color code. Same with the orange. The orange is to bring attention to itself, so somebody would want you to see the drone that you're looking at by giving it the bright color of orange.
Indeed, indeed. All right, all right. Shit, man. Let me get another one in, man. This is just, you know, when the shows is good, just be trying to hang on. What is the true connection, Rob, between our birth date and our purpose?
When you learn how to find your life path number, and then you learn what the numerology of it is, your birth date will tell you your purpose, and you have to determine yourself what that purpose look like, because it's your purpose. You can't use somebody else's purpose unless you want to change the purpose you was born with and use the energy to accomplish something that you want to use your free will to override your agreement while you came.
Wow. Okay. This is the last one. I'm serious, y'all. This is the last one. If the brain is more of an antenna than a computer, where do you think we are really located? Where is our signal coming from? I like that question, brother.
That's one of the best questions.
Yeah.
So we are communicating into the 3D, projected energy from higher frequencies, what we call alternate dimensions. As the energy moves faster up the dimensions, you are embodying higher frequencies of energy in the physical. The computer processing in the brain is designed to allow your higher dimensional self, your spirit body, to experience 3D by experiencing things like emotion that when you're not in the physical body, you don't have.
Shit, I want you to elaborate a little more on that, Rod. That was, I like this type of shit, man.
Look, we in a chapter of misery, right? When we came down here to experience misery, we was excited. We was excited because nobody didn't know what misery was. So the guys become curious of what this misery thing is and how it work and what it feel like. Now we know. We don't like it.
Then we get down here, we like, hell no, get me out of here.
But you asked for it.
You asked for it. Ain't that some shit?
Look, when you look at us and they tell you about our historical greatness, the only reason we stay at the bottom as long as we did because we was strong enough to take it. If we wasn't strong enough to take it, we would have changed it a long time ago. Remember Elijah Muhammad said dissatisfaction brings about a change. Total dissatisfaction brings about a total change. The change is proportionate to the dissatisfaction. Now, everybody understand the chapter of misery, even if they didn't directly experience it, the observer effect still penetrates them through the sympathy link and the empathy link to make them know it's feel just as bad to hold somebody down as it is for somebody to hold you down. Damn,
man. Damn, this is one of them shows, y'all. Instant classic. This was one of them shows. This was definitely one of them shows. Rod, I want to thank you for coming on the platform. Family, once again, make sure you donate to the brother Cash App. $SikApe. That's SIKAPE. Rod, any message you want to leave the family before we get out of here? Anything you want to let the family know before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered all the bases that we came to cover.
Oh yeah. Mission accomplished, huh?
Yeah.